book from the 1800s. Excellent. Study it. Read it. Read how to contract, you know. Oh, I want $11 billion an hour, and I want it up front right now. And then the cop just says, get the fuck out of your car, or I'm going to arrest you, kick the shit out of you, and throw you in jail for the weekend. And then most people go, oh, well, okay, and they get out of the car. Well, you just undid your own contract you were trying to build with this guy. That's when you stare at them and you say, did you not fucking understand? You know, I might want to pick something other than $11 billion. I mean, let's make a realistic number you could probably collect on. And, I mean, I got no problem with, say, $50,000 an hour, minimum of 3 hours. And it's already been invoked by virtue of the fact that he's already engaged your services kind of thing, right? So, but you can always say, listen, if you fuck off in the next 5 seconds, I'm gonna let this bill go. Well, too, is that when it comes to police officers now, is this stuff's been around for 20 years. They've taken training. This stuff is not new on the side of the road anymore. They've been trained how to handle you. They've been trained how to get you to undo your own contract. They've been trained how to get you to voluntarily comply after stating your terms and conditions because you renege on them. You say, this is the way things are going to go, and then you renege on it, and you do the exact opposite, and you start complying, doing what you're told, and volunteering anyways. So it's not showing a very good track record, right? Get arrested. Get arrested. Don't do a fucking thing. Sit there. Let them drag you out of the car. Let them drag you to their patrol car, or put you in handcuffs and take you before the magistrate. And the first fucking words out of your mouth are, guess what? The same fucking thing you told that guy when he pulled you over, right? Yeah, this guy pulled me over. I told him that I require $50,000 an hour upfront fee. He refused to pay me, so it kind of looks like I've been enslaved at this point, and I'm not volunteering to do anything. I never will. I am not volunteering right now. I was physically dragged in here after being beaten and handcuffed, which is also in my terms of service agreement, by the way. Those are extra fees now. You know, I'm kind of handcuffed, so I can't do the math, but I think it's up to about $125 million right now. I'm not really too sure, so I need to get paid that right now before we proceed. And keep doing that. Do not do anything until you've been paid up front, because you have to stick to your guns on that kind of stuff. When you say, you know, oh, well, I'll just comply right now and then I'll come back and I'll collect later. No, that's the whole problem. So that people aren't sticking to it. We can't own anything in the three-dimensional world. You're not God, and you want to be God. So that's the problem. And so we've got this resulting two-dimensional system that's got titles to everything, and it's just the title game. It's the contract game. It's the everything is heavily skewed in their favor, of course, because among other things, for a long time we didn't even know there was a game. So once you find out the game, then it took a long time to learn the rules. And everybody thought, all I have to do is leave the game board and go back to being the flesh and blood man, this pushing the piece. You can't do that. That's any more than God can come down here and start doing things. There's just rules that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. So without getting into that whole debate, just accept the fact that it's a two-dimensional game that's going on right now, the legal game, legalese, and that every interaction with the system at all times is carried out in legalese, which means the legal definitions of words. They're never, ever using the common usage that you would use with your friends ever in any interaction with you, ever, 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 ever. It is that easy. Just contract through your person properly. That's it. And representation is the other biggest problem. And there's two of the most fundamental rights that are recognized, or the two-dimensional version of those rights, that they can never get away from. That no matter how many access statutes they pass, no matter how many representatives you choose, or having representatives, having that representational power transferred to the UN, which is what they do. They get your authority. They get the right to represent you at the regional level, the provincial level, the federal level. They transfer all those rights to the UN. Now the UN represents you, right? Because you give them a blanket endorsement to represent you in every possible fucking way without restriction. It's like giving somebody a blank credit card and you are the surety for the bill. So that's the problem. We've never negotiated terms and conditions. It just gave them a basically unlimited terms and conditions in favor of them, power of representation, and power of attorney, and they've been fucking you every day of your life, every hour of your life, every second of your life. These things are, and I'll get back to these fundamental freedoms, the two that I've basically come to the conclusion of that are the most important that you can utilize and capitalize on to get around every single act and statute. And that is, number one, is the compensation for your time, regardless of anything that they can force the person to do. They can, well, if I'm in the military and you order me to do something again, okay, and that's the position we need to put ourselves into, where we make them regret ever trying to force us to do anything for free. So that's the power that we need to have. So it's renegotiating the terms of your service, which up until now has been free your entire life. You've been collecting taxes for free. You've been filing taxes for free. You've been getting driver's licenses for free. You've been filling out paperwork for free. You've been doing everything for free. You do not need to copyright your name. You need to learn how to contract with the name. Okay. Anyway, so back to that. So it's negotiating, renegotiating your services, the fees you charge for all your services is a big one. You've never negotiated them in the first place. You've just volunteered. And this all this is, you guys. You have to start looking at it this way, and it all just becomes so clear. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. You don't need to protest unless they pay you to. The only way. So payment schedule for payment schedules. There, call it whatever you want. I used to call it not only myself. A lot of people used to call them fee schedules back then. But again, you got to stick to your guns. Like, be very clear. Just all you got to do is just be clear. Say, okay, listen, I'm going to do this because I feel threatened right now. I really think you're going to kill me. But I need you to understand, and especially that little recorder you wear in your vest, I need it to be very clear on the record that I am actually doing this literally in fear for my life right now, because I think you're just psychopathic enough to actually kill me for no fucking reason. I'm not volunteering. You're buying my time in accordance with my terms of service schedule right now. Contract number, have the numbers memorized at that point so you can verbalize it if need be, but you're going to have previously served on the government. That's all you have to do. That's it. Nothing fancy, no 9-page documents, no 30-page documents, no 5,000-page documents, no, to steer people away from the obvious fact that all we have to do is learn how to contract with their person. And I remember hearing that 15 years ago from people, and I'm like, no, that if you want to talk fundamental freedoms, these are the two. And I've definitely covered the one now about you can't be forced to do anything for free unless you volunteer for it, and they force you to volunteer for it. The other one, which I just said, I touched on it when I gave that example about the guy putting the gun to your head, is your basically unlimited right of self-preservation. Self-preservation, which in the United States is actually, it's called the right of self-defense. It's the same thing here in Canada as well, too. Don't let them bullshit you into saying you don't have any right to defend yourself. That is probably the highest law that there is that transfers through to the two-dimensional world as well, too, because your person is born equal. It means that all those, and equity follows the law. So everything transferred through from the natural to the legal to the unnatural. If you are waiting for freedom to become legal, you missed the point. Bingo. Do no harm, create no loss, honor your contract, written or verbal. Yeah, that's, the 6 basic words I came up with like 12 years ago. Do no harm, keep your word. That's 6. What's this? COL, color of law, trifecta of personal power - liability waiver and fee schedule. Wow, that was a complicated sounding one. It's probably a very fancy way of saying the exact same thing I was just saying earlier with just learn how to contract. And you need a liability waiver at all times. Anytime somebody wants you to do something for them, make sure that you get a liability waiver before you perform, and make sure you get paid up front. That's exactly what that blurb is. Be careful here. This guy's actually trying to get me into a contract. Negotiate people into a contract. That is the answer to absolutely everything. You don't even need to know anything else. There is no point. Make them pay for every service they want from you, and that is a fundamental freedom that can never be taken from you, no matter what legislation is passed in regard, and maintaining, still operating within this world of persons. It's still something they can't get around. So that's the easiest attack point, is to just make them pay for absolutely fucking every service. You want me to torts book, yeah. And then after that, it's now procedure, going to the courts and enforcing this stuff, which is actually pretty easy if you can prove a contract exists. So all you got to do, prove a contract exists, and then go for your order. That's it. That's it. There's nothing more complicated about this, and you will win that. So anyways, I'm going to get going. You all have a good night.